Hello and welcome back to the Just Show Up show. Today is a bit unplanned, but that's good because that is in the spirit of this channel. The idea of Just Show Up is that we can go two ways. So one way is to go according to the plan, and I do have a list of a couple of things that I want to talk about, but then sometimes I get this kind of urge to just come on and try and improvise and talk about the things that have been kind of going around in circles in my mind. And now I thought was like a really good moment. I just had a little kind of episode like the last 2 days ever since I got back from Gibraltar. I've just been feeling, or has it been 3 days? I don't even know how many days it's been because I've been so whiny and like out of my element and really annoyed with the fact that I was not feeling my best, like I was not at 100%. And the thing that happens with me is when I'm in that kind of mood, I just resisted so hard. It's like the universe and life just wants me to rest for a little while, and I'm just like, no, I refuse to rest. Like, I need to be productive and like I need to be doing things. And then it just, sometimes it gets really bad. Like just now, the last 2 days, I was like seriously concerned. I was like, am I depressed? Like, am I falling into a depression? Like, what's going on? Like, and the thing that happens when I start to kind of like realize that that might be happening is when I start to not feel like getting up in the morning. And I was like, this is really bad, you know, because like I'm not excited about anything. And I was like, technically I understand that I am excited about everything, but like I just wasn't feeling it. And I was like, I just want to sleep for like 3 days and like not do anything. And that also kind of coincides with another thing, that whenever that happens, I'm like, this is bad news. Like this is not gonna end very well. So I because we were on the trip so like the day before we went on the trip, I wasn't exercising. While we were on the trip, it was like too busy and the hotel room was tiny. Like there's no way to, I mean, I don't know, I guess that's an excuse. I guess I could have exercised, but like I couldn't. So by today, it's been probably like 6 days of not exercising. And for me, I know for sure if I spend more than like 3 to 4 days not exercising, my mood crashes. Like my mood just starts to go bad. And like last time when I was in a bad mood, I told myself and then I told my boyfriend, I was like, next time, like please, if I'm being weird, just tell me to go and do an hour of yoga. And ironically, today I just did an hour of yoga, and of course like it doesn't kick in immediately, but like this is so funny. So I got this like Amazon shipment of eyebrow dye, and this is so funny because like sometimes very, very tiny things annoy me. And like I will feel like I really need to resolve them urgently so that I can like move on with my life. And I feel like ever since we got back from the trip, there have been like at least I don't know, like maybe like 5 things on my list that were just kind of annoying me, and this was one of them. So the thing is, like I started getting gray eyebrows, and I'm like, who the fuck gets gray eyebrows? And then like every time when I look in the mirror and I see these gray eyebrows staring at me, and they just like they're coming like in this very weird way. It's like, am I like this much stressed out that like I need to have gray eyebrows? Like, are you seriously fucking kidding me? Like, I'm only 32. Like, I mean, not even like old people. Like, you need to be seriously old to have gray eyebrows. And it wasn't like one. It's like a lot of them. And then I've also noticed I have like 2 freaking gray eyelashes, and I don't know what's going on. I'm like, has the pandemic like destroyed me? Like, am I deteriorating? Like, do I need to be alarmed? Like, what's going on? And I have Googled it a couple of times and it says it's kind of stress related, and I'm like, I don't even feel that stressed. Like, I just honestly like don't know sometimes. Like, I find it so annoying. And this is another thing, is like this week I've been kind of going back to the HSP book, like Highly Sensitive Person by, I think, Elaine Aron. Yeah. And like, first time when I tried reading the book, I was like, God, this is so boring. This is so annoying. I don't want to read it. But now I'm kind of realizing I'm having a very funny reaction to it. So my reaction to it is just that I find it resonating way too much. Like, it is describing me. It's describing my whole life to the point where I just don't feel unique anymore. I'm like, what? Like, all my life I thought like this was a unique experience, and like all of the solutions and all of the struggles and everything, like I thought this was unique to me, and like now you're telling me that I'm just like one of many, many, many. Like, and then last week I was thinking like 20% of the population, like that's more than 1 billion people by now. And I was like, wow, like that's crazy. That's a pretty crazy number. So I kind of humbled myself and I went back to the book yesterday and I started reading again, and I'm just, it's taking me a little bit of time to kind of just acknowledge and process and accept that that's just what it is. And it's so interesting because like at the beginning of the book she kind of says like, okay, who were your childhood heroes, idols, and like, were they kind of representative of HSP traits, characteristics, or like the culture's ideal? And I'm like, oh my God, like it just kind of, it's such a difficult thought to process that I might have just spent my whole life like trying to counter being the way that I am. And I've just been feeling really bad about it. Like this whole last week, it's kind of like things were happening, like a lot of stuff was going on. And then at the same time, I had this kind of like overlay of thoughts that were happening at the same time, where I was kind of reflecting and digesting this whole HSP thing. And it's like, it's just, it feels shattering. Like at the same time, it's, I understand that it's a really, really good thing. But then I also kind of, I started being in this HSP entrepreneur group, and like one of the ladies in there, she literally came up with the exact same business as me, and I'm like, shit, like I thought that was like an original experience. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is, I don't even know what to think about this. Like, you know, it's like it's using all of the same words, like, you know, insistence on authenticity, like, you know, can't be fake, like everything is about being real, everything is about being in alignment with your true self and your soul's purpose. And I'm just like, okay, that's interesting. Like it's obviously, I don't know, it just feels like I don't know what all of this means, and it just feels like everything that I ever kind of thought or understood about my life is being put into question. And I'm just like in a strange, uncomfortable period where I can't really make sense of it, and it's just making me so uncomfortable. Yeah, but oh yeah, so what I really wanted to say, the whole point of this video, or like the starting point of this video, was that by reading the book and by reflecting on it and by kind of just sitting with it, I started kind of like today's experience, for example. I was like lying on this couch and just feeling shit, like just feeling really shit. And then also at the same time feeling really guilty, you know, like what the fuck is up with me? Like rationally, realistically, like I understand that, you know, I'm in a really good position, I have everything that I need, like why am I feeling so demotivated all of a sudden? And then I was watching this video about Pete Davidson, and he was talking about being bipolar, and then I was thinking like, oh my God, like Kim Kardashian is, what's up with her? Like why is she so attracted to guys who are bipolar? That's also very interesting. But anyways, And then I was just thinking like that we talked about this with my boyfriend also, that I sometimes have like, I know I'm not bipolar, but I definitely, I'm like close to it. I'm very, very close to it. Like sometimes I have peaks where I have a lot of energy. I'm like super enthusiastic about everything, and I think what I end up doing, so I was also reflecting on the fact that like I really struggle with completing projects. Like I was just lying on my yoga mat and just being like fuck, you know, like because I'm so good at initiating stuff. Like I get super excited when there's something new, like a new subject, a new book, a new idea, a new project, and it's like, you know, like an explosion of energy, and like I need to tell everyone, and like everyone needs to participate in this. And then when it comes to the hard part of just like sticking with it, and like when some kind of disappointments start kind of happening, which is normal, right? Like natural process of life. It's like not possible that you can always be high and only good things happen to you. Like, I mean, I wish it was. I wish it was like that. And I'm trying everything in my greatest power to kind of arrange and design life to function in that way. But then when it does happen, like when disappointments happen, I get so discouraged, and I'm like, God, I really, really hate that about myself. Like I hate that I'm like that. And I think like the good thing that happened today, which is like a real kind of breakthrough moment for me, where I'm like, oh wait, like this is new, like I've never had this kind of thought before, was I was feeling bad about this kind of, let's call it a bipolar tendency, and I was like, God, I wish I wasn't like that. And then I just had this thought of like, what if I just accepted that and just wait for it to pass, like just sit here and just like accept that, you know, like I'm having a funk, like I'm in a funk. It's gonna last 3 or 4 days, and like in these 3 or 4 days I'm just not gonna be active. I'm not gonna be, you know, posting. I'm not gonna be answering messages because I just cannot, like everything is just too much right now. And just not feel guilty about it, because like the other thing that I do is like I feel so fucking guilty about it. I'm like, what is my problem? Like what the fuck is my problem? Like there's nothing wrong with my life. Like I have everything that I want, like I'm perfectly happy, conditions are great, everything is good. But like sometimes I think that there's some kind of like readjustment periods, you know, like where I think the reason why it's happening to me right now is that I've been in a project for, yeah, a good 3 months, and like I'm running out of energy. Like I definitely feel like at the beginning I'm super excited, super busy and everything, and then when it becomes kind of like a routine where it's not so creative and not so exciting anymore, like I'm very good at kind of like idea creation and like, yeah. So I'm a campaigner, and in the campaigners long version of the PDF, or the description of like the personality and like what are your kind of advantages and challenges, like the thing that they talked about so much was like I'm really good at initiating, and then when it comes to doing the actual work, I'm just like, I don't want to do this. Which is so bad. And I'm like, how do I counter this? Like I need to train myself, because that's not the way that, you know, projects can ever be successful, right? Like if you don't actually back it up and do the work, that's not as fun as, you know, like generating ideas and initiating projects. Unless I would work perhaps in a team, in some kind of group effort, which I would love to. Like I think that would be probably my ideal. Probably that would be my ideal, I think. But for some reason I haven't like quite gotten there yet, because I don't know why. I don't know why. I always think like I'm kind of a bit more of a loner in a way. Like, anyways, that's just what it is today. But yeah, the point was that today is kind of like one small step for humanity and one gigantic step for me, because I just realized why don't I just accept it? You know, like if it's not gonna change, then it's better to just accept it and stop fighting it and stop like putting up so much resistance. So that's that. I don't know, like it felt like a gigantic realization in the moment. Like I understand it's actually not a big realization. It's actually like something very small, but it feels very significant for me because it's such a hard thing for me to do. Like I'm always kind of pushing myself to work harder and be better, and I feel this like intense discomfort when I'm not actively doing something, like actively pursuing my goals or actively working towards something. And I can rest, like I definitely build in a lot of rest into my day, and sometimes I'm like, that is way too much rest. Like I'm like wasting half of my life away on just kind of resting and like minimizing my symptoms of overwhelm, which I find really annoying. And that's why I'm reading the book now, because I'm like, help me figure out how to deal with this, you know, like help me figure out how I can actually kind of, I don't know, because like the thing is, like I've just found out about this HSP thing, and like when I did the quiz and even just reading it, I'm like, this is like the story of my life, like 100% story of my life. And I just don't know how to feel about it. And I think for most people, when they kind of get diagnosed with something, like it does take some time to accept it and to not feel overwhelmed and to not feel bad about it and to not feel like, oh my god, like what does this all mean? Because when I first started the Magic Fountain project, I'm like, I thought it was a general human condition, and now I'm thinking like, wait, what? Like what if it's not a general human condition and it's just like affecting only 20% of the population? So I feel generally really confused about everything. So that's where I'm at this week. Oh my god. You know what? But I really wanted to come on and just be genuine about it and not be like, la 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 la, you know, like here I am, you know, like kind of dishing out all of these solutions and things that you can do. It's like, I just, yeah, like this week is definitely a week where I'm feeling like, you know, not like who am I to say any of this stuff. Like clearly I can say it because it comes from personal experience, and certain things really do help and certain things really do make you feel a lot better. And like fuck it, we all have to manage our symptoms, you know, when we feel bad. Sorry, I'm also like incredibly thirsty because I feel like I haven't really been drinking enough water. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like, is that it? I'm not even sure. Maybe that's it for this week, you know. Maybe the dips are shorter. Like, you know, I feel like when I'm up, then I have a lot more to say, and when I'm down, I'm like, oh god, I wish I was more energetic and I wish I had more to say. I feel like when I'm down, I just feel like I don't have so much to say. Like I'm not down, I'm not super depressed now because I've clearly dyed my eyebrows, so the world is in order now. Everything is good now. But yeah, the other thing is also I've been really kind of trying to go back to my book. The story that I'm writing is called I Love Water, and it's exactly about this experience. So I'm also like, oh my god, like this is like staring me in the face, because when I first wrote the story down, I didn't quite understand what it's about, but the more I'm kind of living with it and, you know, working on it, the more I'm like, oh my god, like this is the story of my life, and it's about exactly this, you know, it's exactly about this kind of bipolar experience of like highs, you know, and just kind of not wanting to accept the low parts of life and like not wanting to accept the bad days, and just like when I'm having a bad day, I'm just so panicked about like how long is this gonna last, like what does this mean about my life, like am I just going in the wrong direction, like is this the universe's feedback for me saying like that this is just not it, like. And then I'm like, oh, but if I only ever just do things that are easy and pleasant, then like is that the way? Like I don't know. Sometimes I have so many doubts and so many questions in my mind. It's so fucking annoying. And it's like when I look at other people and like when I'm helping other people deal with their stuff, it's everything is crystal clear. Like there's no doubts, like everything is clear, obvious. But then when it comes to myself, it's just such a fucking mess, which is why I guess we need people from the outside, you know, to help us have a clear look. But it's just mind-blowing. So anyways, this is it for this week. One small step for humanity and one gigantic step for me. Learning to accept the messiness of it all. And yeah, I mean, like whatever, you know, we just keep going. So yeah, this week I'm gonna be starting to focus again on working on my book, and maybe at some point soon we're gonna have a little video of some work in progress footage or something like that. I don't know. I'm just really excited actually, because I've been wanting to make the illustrations for the book for quite a while, and it just kept getting kind of like sidetracked and put on the back burner, and it just wasn't happening. And now that I kind of came back with a fresh perspective after the little mini vacation, I just feel like I cannot live without working on this book anymore. So that's what we'll be up to this week. Yeah. So anyways, if you want to coach with me with a hot mess like this, that accepts herself, click the link below to my website. You can contact me from there if you would like to collaborate on anything. I'm also really open to that. And that's it for this week. So I'll see you next week.